Out of Hours Detectives, Episode 6, Fault Lines. Morning light crept through the blinds, too bright, too normal. John Marshall sat on the edge of his desk, still pale but alive. A bandage marked where the dart had hit. Lisa Oke stood across the room, arms folded. Rodney Taser leaned awkwardly by the door. No one spoke. Finally, John broke it. So, he said, voice rough, we're just not going to talk about it? Lisa didn't look up. Talk about what? Rodney let out a nervous laugh. Oh, I don't know. Maybe the whole planting evidence thing? Lisa's jaw tightened. John held up a hand. Rodney? No, he's right, Lisa said quietly. Silence again. The crack. John stood slowly. Why didn't you tell me? Lisa met his eyes. Because I knew what you'd say. John shook his head. Try me. You'd say it was wrong, she replied. That it crossed a line. John didn't hesitate. It did. That landed. Rodney muttered, yeah, definitely did. Lisa shot him a look. You're not exactly clean either. Rodney raised his hands. Hey, I never said I was the good guy. John stepped between them. Enough. Shaft knew reality. A file slammed onto the desk. All three looked. John nodded toward it. We've got a bigger problem. Lisa frowned. Trav? John nodded. And everything connected to him. Rodney shifted. Yeah, about that. They both looked at him. He swallowed. I can help. Lisa raised an eyebrow. You? Rodney shrugged. Look, I know how he works, the drop points, the codes, the people he uses. You want to catch him? You need me. John studied him. And why would you help us? Rodney glanced at Lisa, then at the floor, because I've seen what happens to people who don't. Uneasy alliance, Lisa paced. We can't trust him. Rodney scoffed. You planted evidence. That hit. John stepped in again. Both of you, stop. He looked at Rodney. You help us. You follow our rules. Rodney nodded quickly. Done. John turned to Lisa. Pause. Then, we don't have the luxury of perfect partners. Lisa exhaled slowly. Fine. The lead, Rodney spread out a rough map. Trav's building something, he said. Not just smuggling anymore. John leaned in. What kind of something? Rodney hesitated. Big. Coordinated. Multiple locations. Lisa frowned. An operation? Rodney shook his head. More like a message. Tension rising. Lisa crossed her arms. He's playing with us. John nodded. Yeah, and we're playing back. Rodney pointed at the map. There's a place, old communications hub. He used it before. Lisa grabbed her coat. Then that's where we start. At the site, the building was quiet. Too quiet. Rodney whispered, I don't like this. John pushed the door open. Inside, empty. Lisa frowned. We're late. Rodney shook his head. No, this isn't right. A soft click echoed. All three froze. Trav's move a screen flickered on. Trav appeared again. Learning to work together, he said calmly. I'm impressed. Lisa stepped forward. Show yourself. Trav smiled faintly. Not yet. John crossed his arms. What is this? Trav's eyes flicked to Lisa. Consequences. The pressure. Trust is fragile, Trav continued, especially when it's already been broken. Lisa's expression hardened. Rodney muttered, He's messing with us. Trav nodded slightly. Yes. Then tell me, John, Trav said, how much do you really trust her? Silence. Heavy. John didn't look away. Enough, he said. Lisa glanced at him just for a second. Trav smiled, but there was something colder in it now. We'll see. End scene. The screen went black. The room stayed quiet. Rodney exhaled. I hate that guy. John almost smiled. Get in line. Lisa stared at the blank screen, thinking. Next time, she said quietly, he doesn't get away. John flipped his coin. Next time, he agreed, we're ready. Now we've got trust